All right, good morning, everyone. Obeisance to Magura and Protector Manjushri, who holds to this heart of scriptural text and bodies of the things or things as they are. Whose understanding shines forth that the sun unclouded by defilements or traces of ignorance, who teaches in 60 ways what a patient love of a father for his only son. All creatures caught in the prison of samsara, confused in the darkness of their ignorance, overwhelmed by their suffering. Yosu's Drango thunder proclamation of the Dhamma arises from the stupor of our delusions and frees us from the iron chains of our karma. Whose powerful sword of wisdom hews our suffering wherever its sprouts appear, clearing away the darkness of all ignorance. And Trichu Manjushri, whose princely body is adorned with the 112 marks of a Buddha, who has completed the 10 stages, achieving the highest perfection of a bodhisattva, who has been pure from the beginning. O Manjushri, O loving one, with the brilliance of your wisdom, illuminate the darkness and close in my mind, enlighten my intelligence and wisdom, so I might gain insight into Buddha's words and the texts that explain them. Sa-shi po-ki ju-shi-me-to ta-ri-ra-li-shi ni-de Ye-pa-di San-ye-shi-do Mi-de-o-wa Gi-do-ku-na-da Shi-la-shu-pa-shu-i-dan-guru-ra
Sangye Chedang Tsojin Chonam La Changju
Badu Dani Kapsuchi
Dagi Chushi Yeban Zedagi Drolam Benshi Sanjin Drupara Shu Sangye Chedang Tsojin Chonam La Changju Badu Dani Kapsuchi Dagi Chushi Yeban Zedagi Drolam Benshi Sanjin Drupara Shu Sangye Chedang Tsojin Chonam La Shangchi Bardu Dani Kyabsun Dagi Chushi Yeban Dagi Drolam Benshi Sangye Drupara Shu Kangi Tuzi Nizoni Tawa Tamche Bambi Shere Tambi Chun Dunze Kodam Jela Chanze Lo. Good morning, everyone. Go free.
All right, so we will continue with the tea offering. Lama Sangye Lama Shilde Shilama Geshe Polama La Shilpa.
Cousin the Palamiala Jeki Saji Jetima Tamni Mig Yulon Mig Bikorti Shusumbachi Pressure Any Tagom Sulti Lawyer in Sare
Chanchu yana dun ro la.
chanchu yangla
And so
pangwa yangla ji chanchu yangla pangwa yangla ji. Mhm.
And so we started today to look at the next section of knower aspects, which was the 7 branches. It is the 7 branches of enlightenment. So of the 8-point outline that covers this section, we looked at the object of observation. Today we're going to pick up on the mode of cultivation.
Dirida resh chanchu yangla no dhukhen nipa yode sta gomsul de chenpa yangda chanchu yangla ki chenpa yangda chanchu yangla sharwa ta chenpa yangda chanchu yangla ki ani kandaji gomgure islawainas dukden la mini ti embo soshani islawandi ti embo soshani islawandi dunga ki nilu toba chiwa sarida kunchung la mini ti indwecha tang chawar soshani gogden la mini ti ngondu cheba soshani lamden la mini ti gomba soshani nebar chibi chedi tenyi li gomba kanshin na chenpa yangda chanchu yangla emba la neba docha dan cheba la neba goba la neba nambar puwa yonsu gyowa gomba was chenpa yangda chanchu yangla chitar tanyam yangda chanchu yangla parla yang tejen du shi song picheris.
And so the mode of cultivation reads, there is a mode of cultivation of the 7 branches of enlightenment, because with a branch of perfect enlightenment of mindfulness. Just a second. Dila yanda se di chamba yanda lagorve yamana yanda chanchubden de lagore.
Kanisa.
Inje ke dola dila pena niba yote chamba yanda chanchugi yen la gi sajdoa. Di yanda se di la chanchubla jayore. Yanda se di chamba la
Jargora.
And so here it says there is a mode of cultivation of the 7 branches of enlightenment, because with the branch of perfect enlightenment of mindfulness, actually it should be read the other way around, because with the branch of enlightenment of perfect mindfulness, right? So the word perfect is describing mindfulness rather than enlightenment. So there is a mode of cultivation of the 7 branches of enlightenment, because with the branch of enlightenment of perfect mindfulness, by observing true suffering, one will seek to be isolated from them and abide there. By observing true origins, one will seek to be separated from attachment to them and to abide there. By observing true cessations, one will seek to actualize them and abide there. And by observing true paths, one will seek to cultivate them and abide there. And so this is because the Sangha's compendium of knowledge, the Abhidhamma Samuccaya, says, how are they cultivated? The branch of perfect enlightenment of mindfulness, or the branch of enlightenment of perfect mindfulness, cultivates abiding in isolation, abiding in separation from attachment, abiding in cessations, and complete transformation through abandonment. Just as it is in the case of the branch of enlightenment of perfect mindfulness, so it is for the others until the branch of enlightenment of perfect equanimity. Dila gomsu di tewa inarwa di nyamshala shagirbe jetobla shagire kan sena demba shila migne di chik anlandova dila sopa peshet so di jetob kabla kan samla shagirbe
Tangi samna diresha samwarda. Jerumbuchige denji te kwana the migbaum zantan de denji te kwana ni deres.
denshi dekonani
Denji nilut. A denji nilut res. Denji nilu gomondigi dugding nilu gom dugding la mini ti demba me bata gora ah kunjun la mini ti nilu gorden la mini ti nilu lamden la mini ti nilu ti reshas tinza nyamja la jarna digdos
Cezan kabdila jizumbe karalagi karisungyoresena pena dugden la migne de wembe tsushi nebasadi tsushi nebasadi jedobla mato pesh shamarek chingido kansena di dekoneni la tsechi tu nyamba shabek kapsulayan di dugden wemba so di shakalek woret kansama
ishago ga sarsam da ngesam temba yang da di chanchu ki yang la yutsu di kares lang di temba di gi pigi yul mejeba di tembe songora yul mejeba di tembe songni tembe kavla ya penata dungar gi nelu sorbi kavla ya sorbi kavla takchi chi kavla sorni ani toni da yu tembe yulaya soshan never chigres temba digi ani pena tengin zing yulaya soshan never chigres ani the diga tengin zing kares na tengin zing le pena jolam chunjo ki ngon kyubi nyamja ishitawti digi yulaya di nyamja ishidi pigi yul ani dungar nelu 지주도 냠바샤 토야디 네 토야디 잼베기 첼레레스 잼바양다기 첼레레스 인제 잼바양다 디 아니 디레스 라워 인제 도도 디카블라 가르 곰거스네 dungang nelu 곰거레스 nelu din지 곰 토야디야 잼베기 또 길레바레스 잼베기 첼레 땐 레바레스.
And so ask Geshe about the formulation of the mode of cultivation, asking if it emphasizes the functions of subsequent attainment rather than meditative equipoise. For the text says that by observing, for example, true suffering, one will seek to be isolated from them and abide there. And I told Geshe that it seems that in meditative equipoise, one will be single-pointedly placed on suchness or reality, whereas the seeking to be isolated from true suffering will occur more likely in subsequent attainment. And Geshe said that he thinks, in drawing from what Lama Tsongkhapa says in his explanation in Golden Rosary, Lama Tsongkhapa says that the 7 branches of enlightenment are observing the reality of the 4 truths, only the reality of the 4 truths. And so the reality or the suchness of the 4 truths is observed exclusively by the 7 branches of enlightenment. And when we think about it in terms of mindfulness, for example, and so mindfulness, the branch of mindfulness is guarding against forgetfulness. So it is a non-forgetfulness, which is guarded by mindfulness. And so when it says here that it is seeking to be isolated from true suffering, for example, the branch of enlightenment of perfect mindfulness, by observing true suffering or the reality, the suchness of true suffering, one will seek to be isolated from them and abide there. And so when we think about it in terms of mindfulness, or when we think about it in terms of concentration, for example, again, doing the same thing, concentration, seeking to be isolated from true suffering and seeking to abide in them. It is that single point in concentration is a concentration that is sustained from the supreme and then Dhamma part of the path of preparation, which then becomes an Arya's exalted knowledge of meditative voice that perceptually realizes reality of suchness. And so that single pointed concentration would be focusing on the suchness of true suffering and seeking to be isolated from them and abide there. And so the seeking here, Geshe says, that can be understood in terms of investigating, right? So it is investigating the nature or the reality of true suffering, investigating them to be isolated from them and abiding in an isolation from true suffering.
Tanda di changchup di sangi kombanteji. Di ta drupa chibi yana sananda, toba chibi tab sananda, delaya ani dun shevaras, ra dun shevaras.
And so here enlightenment is the state of Buddhahood. So we're looking at the 7 branches. And so enlightenment is Buddhahood, and the way to accomplish Buddhahood is through the 7 branches. These form the method for attaining Buddhahood, enlightenment.
Tiza di tobjiki tabdelaya yana dunshan. The tobjiki tabzo kares, ra tobjiki tabzo di chanchu tobjiki tabzo di tomba nyongson tobi ishiti. Tomba nyongson tobi ta pigi pabi nyamja ishiti res. Ta pabi nyamja ishiti laya chemba sherab zongju gawa shindu jamba tenginzi tanyam ti yangla laya kandazin gyugres. Ra ti yangla laya kandazin gyugres. La ondi ta dini yongo go sarta.
So the method for attaining enlightenment is the 7 branches. The method for attaining enlightenment, you can say, is through an exalted knower perceptually realizing emptiness, which is an Arya's exalted knowledge of meditative equipoise. And so what are those branches of enlightenment which are Arya's exalted knowledge of meditative equipoise? How do they become branches of enlightenment? Well, they become branches of enlightenment, methods for attaining enlightenment through these 7. So the 7 being mindfulness, strong discrimination of phenomena, which is wisdom, joyous effort, joy, pliancy, concentration, and equanimity.
Tandinamolaya sumbadi the goba dishondi. The goba dishondi, Tomba Malu Papambi Goba Yubicha said that Tonam Langos Jarwa, Tonla Langos Jawandi, and in Negabgi Chanchu Slav Chorda, Negabgi Chanchu di Tombam Pambi Pambati. The D Tobjegi Tabguzo di Tonam Parche Melanti. Ra Tonam Parche Melam. Tonam Parche Melam di Tombanilia, Chidu Nyamba Shabigi, Nyamja Shijiras. That D Pigi Tombanilia, Chidu Nyamba Shaya D. Ani Yangla Dung Goneta, Ani Yangla dita Diolia, Goshe Gavarda, Ra Goshe Gavaris, the Yangla Dungoni, and Utelia, Juktuya dita Yangla Dungoni, Jubaris.
The next point in Jetsumpa's presentation is referring to the purpose of cultivating the 7 branches of enlightenment. And Jetsumpa says there is a purpose of the 7 branches of enlightenment because there is a purpose of abandoning all the objects of abandonment of the path of seeing without exception. And so here, the 7 branches of enlightenment are applied specifically to the path of seeing, which means that we can regard enlightenment in relation to the path of seeing as a temporary or provisional enlightenment. Enlightenment, which is in which the object to be abandoned by the path of seeing have been abandoned, which means enlightenment in which seeing abandonment have been eliminated. And the main method for accomplishing that provisional enlightenment in which seeing abandonments have been abandoned is through the uninterrupted path of seeing, which is an Arya's exalted knowledge of meditative equipoise. And so this Arya's exalted knowledge of meditative equipoise, which is the method for obtaining a provisional enlightenment, which is free from seeing abandonment, is through this sevenfold divisions of the branches of enlightenment, beginning with mindfulness and so forth.
And then the Nanalia Dugden la mean the embod social nesajdo nes jizumbi chiksonda the Kani Yungundu Slaundi Jerumuchigi Yanla Shanam Mingnamle Myanwar Chepe Niki Yanla Shanam the Tembatang Tidita Ra Sherabla Soba you Migbalaya Myanwa the Suchigris Tembi Chigris Myanwa Telia never chigris Nesad Codentiranda is it Nesa de Caris Tomaniteres Tomaniteres same than Egores.
And so Geshe went back to the mode of cultivation and looked at the way that Rinpoche explains that, Lama Tsongkhapa explains that. So he explains the mode of cultivation with respect to the branch of enlightenment of perfect mindfulness. And he says, by observing true suffering, one will seek to be isolated from them and abide there. So what is the meaning of abiding there? Well, abiding there means that it will not wander off, it will not become distracted to other objects of observation and other aspects. It will not step away or wander off from the focal object and the aspect. Not only that, also the other seven will also abide there. Sorry, the other six. So, for example, we have wisdom and concentration and so forth. They will abide there and not wander off to other objects of observation and aspects. And so to put it, or to get more to the point, as we're looking at mainly the uninterrupted path of seeing, in which one is in meditative equipoise, single pointedly placed on the emptiness of the four truths, then one will abide there on that emptiness without the mind, without mindfulness, wisdom, concentration, and so forth, without them wandering off to other objects of observation or other aspects.
Then be doji shawana namyung anzu the singing the singer da pena anzu namshis yawandi ra lorik namshis yawandi so number shevas lara so number sheva telaya khor kundrunga seji so namshi imbaina number shevaina khur kundrunga yobi kyaslara kundrunga mena namshi the yul takdan juktuk marslara but dig surajita jan sunguyasares.
And so when we look at this mode of formulation, we can use another example or analogy in order to illustrate this mode of cultivation and the mode of explanation. And so when we studied logic and particularly minds and mental factors, we spoke of the divisions of consciousness into primary consciousness and mental factors. Like, for example, one group of mental factors that we have looked at was the group of 5 omnipresent mental factors, such as feelings. And as it was studied in the text of minds and mental factors, without so first of all, the 5 omnipresent mental factors, which are in the retinue of a primary consciousness, are always there, which means that they accompany all primary consciousnesses, that's to begin with. And also, without the 5 omnipresent mental factors, the primary consciousness will not be able to operate on an object fully, right? So there is no full operation without the 5 omnipresent mental factors. And so thinking about it as some sort of analogy or to draw some similarities from that, when we look at the 7 branches of enlightenment, it is similar to that, right? So there's, we're looking at that single pointed placement on emptiness, and these 7 branches are necessary for full engagement or full operation.
다 시바디 랑기 데위케비 찬주기 규치빈 파규기 켐바 찬주양랑이 생이스 나바니 텔라 듄여디 군들리 쳔바던 쳬르도 남바제바도 종르도 가와던 따념소 시송비차르스.
And so we read through the purpose of the 7 branches of enlightenment. Now the entity reads, the definition of a branch of enlightenment is an exalted knower in an iris continuum that acts as a cause of the enlightenment that is its result. And so the divisions says there are 7 because the Sangha's companion of knowledge says mindfulness, strong discrimination of phenomena, joyous effort, joy, pliancy, meditative stabilization or concentration, and equanimity. Tila seniro. Seniri peshe palam yenlagia. Palam yenlagia yan di jana ja chogirwa.
저거라.
Ine di janchu yenla dundi tonila ja kasa. tonla jagirwa, gomla jagi mare.
니가 용거렸더라.
ine satsandila yan tonlan di shigirwa. Amare tonlamne gonda tonlamne gonda. Okay. Chua yusha.
예. 다들의 디지디게 다랑기 데비기르 찬주 규치비 파기 캠발라 저다 냠자다 제답 참아 용거리다스. 그라. 이네디 찬주양라 듄디 냠자 이실이야. 자리에 여바디 냠주 신고다라.
And so first off, looking again at point D, which explains the entity or the nature of the 7 branches of enlightenment, it provides the definition of a branch of enlightenment. And it says it is an exalted knower in an Aryas continuum that acts as a cause of the enlightenment that is its result. And so when we think of an exalted knowledge in an Aryas continuum, well, it can be meditative equipoise, but it can also be subsequent attainment. Both of them are exalted knowers in Aryas continuum. So in some sense, we can say that the 7 branches of enlightenment apply to both of them. But here we also need to know to understand how, in a more specific sense, they're applied to the uninterrupted path. Oh, kind of the 냠살라 자기르베 야마나.
니가 용초그랬어. 얘네 자리에 열었다.
Kind of the pachemelan line be yamana 냠살라.
냠자.
Sorry, I should have said they applied specifically to the to meditative equipoise.
언제다? 다드니 투바디르다. this kalakhabudan do the dina gosha jagda yanla dombu teyan duna tsungan dugres dambu di nigi yanla tans chamba yanda chanju yanla said nigi yanla tang niba di ranshin ki yanla slaundi chanju yanla korang ngondi sherebres lagda niba di ranshin ki yanla tans somebody ngenjong ki yanla tans tajel tawra somebody ngenjong yanla tang shiva phe yanla tamasum nyumu mebi yanla te denyele chambani nigi yanla ko chörab de number jeba ngo nigi yanla ko dongju ngenjong ki yanla ko gawa ta phe ki gawa ni phe ki yanla shindu jangba ta tengin zanda tanyum kun nyumu mebi yanla ko shetans untar Rangshen Yangla, Ne Yangla, Sumba Ngenjong Yangla de Shiban Penyu Yangla Yin, Namsum Nimu Me Yangla, Jie Sumbi Cherisa.
Now, the sixth section is a little bit complicated, so let's try to remain focused when we look at that. So far we mentioned the 7 branches of enlightenment. Here, point 6, how there are branches, says that it can also be subsumed into 5. And the reason for that is the first, which means mindfulness, is the branch of abidance. The second, which is wisdom, is the branch of nature. So you can say, in some sense, the nature of the 7 and the 7 branches is wisdom. So the second branch is of nature. The third, which is the branch of joyous effort, is the branch of definite emergence. The fourth, the branch of joy, is the branch of benefit. And the last 3 are the branch without the afflictions. The last 3 are pliancy, concentration, and equanimity. This is because the Sangha's Companion of Knowledge says mindfulness is the branch of abidance, strong discrimination of phenomena. Another term for wisdom is the branch of entityness. Joyous effort is the branch of definite emergence. Joy is the branch of benefit. Pliancy, concentration, and equanimity are branch without afflictions. Also, Maitreya's discrimination of the middle and the extreme says the branch of abidance, the branch of nature. The third, the branch of definite emergence. The fourth, the branch of benefit. 3 aspects, the branch without affliction. Dila gawa se di kare di kandechina di semjun chirve yamana semjun sowala na dewa la gawa la girve di kandechina.
Re Yigawa. Sorwa Rang Shaga na Hama Sorwa. The Kanji Kakona Nyam Gawa Rajagda. Tomba Ningon Sum to Towandige. Yigda Hajangi any Pak Peputan, Dewu Wasara. Tindi Chani Gawa Lagmedro.
There's a deal so ran shagi aya.
Sorang made.
Then it is Kansan is semjunchi go girve.
Temjun Ingo Samar something. Niga Yochosares.
And so I asked Geshe about the branch of joy. I asked Geshe about the branch of joy because it seems that primarily when we look at the 37 aspects of enlightenment, we're looking at mental factors. Most of them are mental factors. So I asked Geshe specifically about joy. What is joy? Is it a mental factor? Is it a separate mental factor? Is it a mental factor feeling which is expressed in terms of a pleasant feeling or a feeling of happiness? Well, Geshe said he doesn't think that it is necessarily the mental factor feeling. It's rather that when one is placed in meditative equipoise, the mind is very calm. There is that notion of being completely at ease. The mind is being very spacious, very calm. And so again, I ask Geshe, so what is it? Is it the mental factor feeling being expressed as happiness? And Geshe said that not necessarily. It could be, but not only that.
This on the Dindisongo Sherab the number Jebat race, Korang race. The Zondru Delaya Ninjong Yanlas. Zondru Laya Ninjong Yanla Karchin Sungoristandi, Zombig Toki, and it's so jig sale, Ring Dundava Cheni, and then Pabi Kombalaya, Chagoenza, and then Ninjong Yanlas. Zondru Toki, Ninjong Yanlas.
Now, in drawing for Lama Tsongkhapa's explanation, Rinpoche's explanation, it says that the second branch is the branch of nature, and wisdom is taken to be is also called strong discrimination of phenomena. Then the third branch is choice effort. It is called the branch of definite emergence. So why do we call it the branch of definite emergence? It is called the branch of definite emergence because through choice effort, one will swiftly emerge from the state of being an ordinary being to becoming an Arya. So becoming an Arya hinges upon choice effort, and therefore one will be definitely emerge from being an ordinary being to the state of an Arya. And so that's with respect to choice effort. Going back to the second branch, the branch of nature. Well, wisdom is that which strongly discriminates phenomena, or it discerns phenomena, and also discerns the nature of phenomena. Therefore, it is called nature.
Tadini gawa said gawa di penyu gi yang la ya. Penyu gi yang la jardo. Penyu gi yang la res. Kansana chanju yang la gombi penyu sorochi. Ta ganji di chanju yang la ngom de khar res la di ani chen nam gi nelu pigi number jinging gi sherab di ku ngom res. Ta di temba yang da zang zongzhi yang da gi to ki ta pigi chen nam gi nelu ngom sum do to won di gi ani lusam la ya ani pen do res. Pen yang la yin ba lusam la pen do be pen yang la song da pen lusam la kan de pen do res la di sem di hajang gi pigi ani ta nyumu ngu yin bu chi on di sem di bhag be bu yong ya da tem bu yong ya di she mu go wa jiras ani tebo chimbu pigi ringi ani tonum sa tambo la to on di tomba ni ngon sum to pigi yishi to ba ta ani lu ten di ani har soji kab gu dungar gu lu di yi ran jing gu lu kyun do gres la bra ani lu la phem ba yin ba di ja ji ya ta bra tin za gawa de phe ya la des tin di ka le ta ga de gawa da deva khabar chi ta deva so rang ro ta gawa di yi gawa se pa phe ba di tin di sa des ta di ani phe ya la des.
Now, joy is said to be the branch of benefit. And so we looked at the second branch, the branch of wisdom, which is called strong discrimination of phenomena. So particularly, there is the thorough discrimination of the nature of all phenomena, the reality of all phenomena, the mode of abundance of all phenomena. So this is the entity, this is the nature, the branch of nature, which is wisdom. Then through combining those branches together, so we have mindfulness, we have wisdom, we have choice effort, and they benefit the mind. So how do they benefit both the body and mind? So how do they benefit both body and mind? Well, in terms of the mind, we have the actual antidote to the afflictions. And through the actual antidote to the afflictions, the mind is made calm. It is completely spacious. So you can say that that is connected with mental joy, in the sense that the mind is completely calm and quiescent. Then also we say that when particularly a definite type Mahayanis moves on from the path of preparation to the path of seeing, and they attend the first ground, the body that they had prior to that, which means on the path of preparation, which was a body that is true suffering, is transforming. So the abode of the body transforms, and they attain a body in the nature of mind, and therefore physically it becomes very, you can say, comfortable, and mentally there is mental joy, in the sense that there is mental quiescence or calmness on account of having the actual antidote to the afflictions. Dila kasanga soyanding nga di jonin dila ishi ranchi lu dila di kandechi nasti lu dagaran di gyo dogere semana di lu tamochi 이게 ranchi lu togres lu di meba chagere gyo dogere so den ketchis me pesha nanso nyama pesha dila pesha deba mindaw ni yo chogre chik lu rakpa ganaya lu tamochi togre giranchi lu yamena lu di dagaran ne gyo dogres di kanan samna
당한주기 단단단디 돌루랑라 시자지 시거라
ja
돌루랑라 시자지디게 한당가라야 귤루식 시자
no
폼부락베 나노라야 니그세 틴디시에서디 요사마르와 다단다 딜까라야 루디 나주기 폼부락바디 둑댕기 루디 베디 예로바사레스 아
kibula
제 나간주 나고나 lokparon디 나곤디 예로그라다 때 나곤디 다가란 니 요르스 요마르다 어느 사실 셴바질 드르스 드로요 마르다 다가란 라반 예로그라 때 난신기 똥바니 온수 또비또기 둑댕기 루디 자타리 예로그레스 라우라 자타리 예로그레스
ne dila jalo lagi maro
잘루라고 말이야
and so I asked Geshe a question regarding one of the points that came up in yesterday's Jute. And so we did end up speaking about the body and the nature of mind, and said that before we expressed a couple of positions. One of them is that the body transforms and becomes a body and nature of mind. So that was one position. Another position was, as far as I remember, that while it might be possible that this body remains, but on top of that, we attain a subtle body, which is a body and nature of mind. Well, Geshe said that here we're looking at a presentation that is exclusively a sutra presentation, and therefore it's best to stick with the first position that says that the body itself transforms. So how will it be like? Well, it is, so when one attains the first ground, it seems that the body through realizing emptiness perceptually, the body will completely disappear. So this body will completely disappear. And instead of that, one will have a body in the nature of mind. So it is not explained like the explanation that we find in High Yoga Tantra, where one attains the illusory body, right? So the illusory body or attaining a rainbow body is a tantric presentation. So we don't speak about it like that here. So here in the sutra system, they say that the body will disappear, and instead of that, one will have a body in the nature of mind. So the body disappearing would be maybe analogous to, for example, this room being in thick darkness, and someone comes in and switches on the light, and darkness goes away in an instant. So also generating a perceptual realization of emptiness, then the body will immediately disappear. Instead of that, one will have a body in the nature of mind, which is, you can say, similar to rainbow, but we don't call it a rainbow body.
Tadini ta Xinjiang Shindu Jamba Tengin Tanyum Sum Delaya Ane Karis Lawandi
Nyomo maybe.
Numu maybe Yanla Numu maybe Yanlas Numu maybe Yanlas Dindu Kandis Numu maybe Yanla Shawandi Numu maybe she Numu maybe ne Numu maybe Wong Shindu Jamba Delaya Numu maybe shis Tengin Zendelaya Numu maybe ne Tanyum Delaya Numu maybe Wong Teen Zenda Numu maybe Yala Res.
Now the last three are called the branch without affliction. So what are the last three of the 7 branches? Well, we have the branch of pliancy, then concentration and equanimity. And so the branch without affliction can be divided into 3 aspects. So the base, the abode, and the entity. And so the base or the basis is pliancy. The abode is concentration. And the entity is equanimity. And so the base without affliction is pliancy. The abode without affliction is concentration. The entity of the absence of affliction is equanimity.
Terda tai shindu jamba sedi lusum les ron chebi lusum les moronwi ning lenset pamba insa ani nyumu mebi shires ning len yishila den da nyumu kegorada tinza ning len di paondi nyumu kisagi shimeba chadwanza ani shindu jamba delaya nyumu mebi shis.
And so pliancy is called the base of the basis for the absence of afflictions, so the basis of being without the afflictions. And pliancy is described as serviceability of body and mind. It is when the body and mind become serviceable, one has physical and mental pliancy. And so for the body and mind to become serviceable, one needs to abandon unserviceable body and mind, which are called negative states. So those negative states in which the body and mind are not serviceable provide a basis for the arisal of the afflictions. But since this unserviceability of body and mind has been abandoned, which means that those negative states has been abandoned, there is a basis for the absence of the afflictions. Therefore, pliancy is called the basis.
That thing isn't it? Tell ya nyumu maybe nes. That nyumu said chingu gichar tobach, chinwa the gobi char tobach. Ro yulaya zao nini pigi any sejig to name tuba kanji any low trupa chingi any cheletele nyumu segoras. The thing in zindi yulaya sejig to neondige any nyumu karsata yulaya sejig to nevi toki any thing in zone that shini dige langdong deni sheriff drenchini nyumu pandogro nyumu chomdogro inza nyumu maybe ne nyumu pen karsata zawani any desa chasa mebati ne mebadi any thing in zing toki sheriff ki pandoganza thing in zindelaya nyumu maybe nes.
Kabdila nesa di jungnela lagirve ya mana nesa na nesa chi desa.
Desa chasa mesage ne jun desa me ne sonucu koçok sarda.
Now, concentration is called the abode of the absence of afflictions, the abode of being without afflictions. And so afflictions belong to this class of disturbing emotions, afflictions of excitation and mental laxity. And so concentration is regarded as the abode or the place that is without these afflictions. And so concentration is a single pointedness of mind. And through the force of concentration becoming stronger and stronger, we cultivate a concentration that is calm abiding. And then through a concentration that is calm abiding, one also develops a concentration that is a special insight. And these two are used in order to then destroy the afflictions, to abandon the afflictions, so that none of them will remain. So through developing the force of concentration, one will then develop wisdom to abandon the afflictions. And therefore, concentration is said to be the abode or the place without the afflictions.
Tadini tanyum nyumu maybe wons like that. Nyumu maybe won. The chitangi nyumu singing the Yosevichelaya, same nyumu delaya, and it nyambachi yonya zawni yosamaris. In the tanyum di kadu inaya, tanyum singing the kadu inaya, nyumu the mintumbachi. Nyumu the mandrebachi, yongo was a race. Korangi ranshin ngondi and dindigilia. Zigdo, Bena, Sheriff Doji Bayana, and Nimu than Jeva in the Yon Chogore, Pig Zitu the Nebayana, Nimu than Jeva in the Yon Chogoras, Chosul Hondi. That Tanyum di Kaduin and Nimu the Mandrash, Negras. Then the Nimu may be Ransheres, Ngores.
And then equanimity is regarded as the entity of the absence of afflictions. And so when afflictions arise, the mind becomes unbalanced. This is what an afflicted mind is. It is an unbalanced mind. And so equanimity is discordant with the afflictions. For example, it is possible for wisdom or for single pointedness to still be mixed with the afflictions, in a sense that if a wisdom is partial, or if a single pointedness is partial, they're still mixed with the afflictions. But then equanimity is discordant with the afflictions, and therefore the branch of equanimity is regarded as the nature of being without the afflictions.
Tilda Tindisungda, Dinza, and the loss and etc. Yala Domba Dangan to the Tambo Niki Yala, the Niba de Ranjin Yala, somebody in Jong Yala, Shiva Piala, Thomas Nimu maybe Yala de Tenyele, Tamba Niki Yala ko, Children the number Javan and Niki Yala ko, Tondrin in Jong Yala, Gavan Piala, Shindu Jamba, the things and the Tanyo Nimu maybe Yala ko, Shetan, Untar, Ranjin Yala, Ne Yala, Sumbang in Jong Yala, Shiva Piala. Namsum Nimu Meyala, Jesum Bicheres.
And so Geshe read again through point 6 how the branches, the 7 branches, are also subsumed into 5, because the first is the branch of abundance, the second is the branch of nature, the third is the branch of definite emergence, the fourth is the branch of benefit, the last 3 are the branch without afflictions. This is because the Sangha's companion of knowledge says mindfulness is the branch of abidance. Strong discrimination of phenomena is the branch of entityness. Joyous effort is the branch of definite emergence. Joy is the branch of benefit. And pliancy, concentration, and equanimity are the branch without afflictions. Maitraya's discrimination of the middle and the extreme says the branch of abidance, the branch of nature, the third, the branch of definite emergence, the fourth, the branch of benefit. 3 aspects, the branch without afflictions.
Tadini Domban Sansam Tireta, Tonlomni Sanji se per the Shacho.
Now the boundaries, says the boundaries of the 7 branches of enlightenment are from the path of seeing. Maybe we can also say 2 through the Buddha's ground.
Tajeba di Drashitere, Rangi Jebu Kiri, Chanju, Gu Chibina, Chanju Yala Jecha was.
Now the etymology for these reads, since it is the cause of enlightenment, its result, it is called branch of enlightenment.
다들이 드니 고바 양라 빼다자니 셰바세디 양라 동본디 콜루규리 야부rum부체 하든던 추총바데스.
Now we have an additional point here in the outline, correlating the branches with analogies. The 7 branches share parallels with the 7 precious articles of the will-turning king, what we call the Chakravartin.
딩길다 양라 동본디 콜루규리 야부 콜루rum부체 나든다. 슬라고 얘기는 콜루규리 야부 rum부체에서는 괜찮지도. 야부 콜루rum부체다. 콜루규리 야볼래야 콜루rum부체 세줘라.
Dila kala göresena. Dila gente na dün saçtua.
콜루린지 나뉘. 콜루델야 rum부체 나든 상거다.
Dila kolo giwe gepo se dila chi. Kolo gepo sto. Kolo gepo dila
rum부체 나뉘.
rimboche na dün.
디나는 콜루rum부체 세줘라.
Okay.
콜루rum부체도 춘총같이 세거다. 아는 콜루rum부 야부 rumbuchin hadunda.
Oh.
Yabu rumbuchin hadunda 춘총바. 데레스다.
Okay.
고름 셴두스. 시자 마기왈레 야버 쳬바탄. 센진기 또바 탐지 점버 쳬바탄. 문실로 소비 연데는 드버 쳬바탄. 추긴 나만 페워 쳬비. 샘 가버 쳬바탄. 냉이랭기 드버레 탈비 신두 잠비 대와 쳬바탄. 땡긴즈라 때는 되던 탐지 드버탄. 냠자라 때는 방전놈 준시. 제도라 때는 리비 연된 레비체. 도디 겐레. 시자 마게발레 야버 야셔. 템바탐네 콘두치 데 남이 또바이. 세만탐진 잠바치 데 손주 말로 유 또바 차신 주긴 하와 남번에 가위다도 기본 제바콜레 타비시 신도 잠비 대와도 땡인진라 삼비튼 조원 니월 기원 따님기는 탐지든 드는 칠들 되제네 제라 톱던 메도비 네버 초기 따도는 연대 데디 삼번은 콜로 gör다 자버주 따도른진 한든 따도른진 든 다위 찬주 양라 남기 꼴 시에손 비처스.
And so correlating the branches with analogies reads these 7 branches share parallels with the 7 precious articles of a will-turning king, because respectively mindfulness is victorious over the objects of knowledge, not conquered. Strong discrimination of phenomena, being wisdom, destroys all conceptions apprehending signs. Joy's effort accomplishes qualities such as clairvoyance. Joy is a mental joy due to increasing the illumination of phenomena. Pliancy generates the bliss of pliancy that is free from the obscuration of negative states. Meditative stabilization or concentration accomplishes all desired aims. Independence on meditative stabilization, concentration, and equanimity destroys the objects of abandonment. Independence on meditative equipoise and adopts the appropriate qualities. Independence on subsequent attainment. This is because Maitreya's Ornament for the Mahayana Sutras says, because of being victorious over the objects of knowledge not conquered, mindfulness is utilized in all. The realizations of this discrimination destroys all signs. Engage this joyous effort for the sake of realizing all quickly without exception. The increase of the illumination of phenomena will constantly develop due to joy. Because of being liberated from all obscurations, the bliss of pliancy is attained. Being endowed with the meaning contemplated will be produced in meditative stabilization, concentration. In all occasions of equanimity, this abides exactly as one wishes. Abiding in subsequent attainment and non-conceptuality are always supreme abidings. The heroic-minded of such qualities engage like will-turning king, constantly turned by the branches of enlightenment, resembling the 7 precious articles.
다들 콜로도 춘송 자리야 딘디나는 문도아 저그 나노야 저그 나노라 다 세우쇼 자라 다디
De là, de Rinpoche na dun de la 그런 카르스만한시 콜로요렌 노르부 쯤모 nombo 람보체 따 아니 막분데 지금 라그로.
야 다디
Geshe said that it says that they are like the 7 precious articles of the will-turning king, but what the 7 precious articles and how they resemble the 7 precious articles of the will-turning king is not really explained here. We have a footnote here that was added by the person editing this text, just mentioning what the 7 precious articles are, but still there is no explanation of why they're said to be like these 7 branches of enlightenment.
그래도 니 콜로라 자라다 콜로라야 아니 콜로그 때와 콜로그 숲 콜로그 타그 민큐 아니 델레야 짝주세죠 딘디 딘솔이야 자신으로 잠바다 땡인선다 안투조 pen 땡인선다 어디 콜로기 아니 때발이야 콜로라야 숲기에요라 숲기에도 비기 파 땡사기 기델이야 춘준저라 델레야 숲 사망이 될 때요라 델레 때와세 디 땡인선 춘던로들 된다 콜로기 아니 디 민큐스나 탁고르 자르저라 디 도즈르 잔 데니 지우시어 등에 된다 쇼코란 메나 상만 차고 말아
There's a nice explanation also linking up this 7 with a wheel or precious wheel, if you will, precious wheel. And so looking at the different components of the wheel, there is the hub, then the spokes that come out of the hub, then there is the outer rim. And each one of those branches can be linked up with a certain component. So for example, concentration is linked up with the hub. So from concentration, all the other branches come out, like spokes coming out of the hub. Anyway, Geshe doesn't have here the scripture reference that explains each of the branches in relation to a particular feature of a will, so we can't really list them down here, but it's also quite a nice explanation.
데르다 디말로 셰인다 dumbanis ngombordobi lamgiodo number given jimbi lamchibi gunseyodes number given jimbi lamchibi gunseyode dembang har mantonwa ngonsum tu sadu tomen tonlom tobale gonlom gi ngo number taba nginjin gi lamjoi Heather pictures.
That brings us to the 7th group of knower aspects belonging to the group of the 37 harmonies of enlightenment. And this group is called the path of definite deliverance, the 8 branches of Arya's path. And it reads, in order to explain that there is a reason for explaining the paths of definite deliverance after the path of clear realization. It is because having attained the path that newly and directly sees the truth that were not seen previously, which means the path of seeing, the path of pure definite deliverance, the entity of the path of meditation, will arise. Therefore, they are explained in such a manner.
Terda Demba Toma Yong Su Sheba La Gombe Lam Jongwe Number Tawa Niver Jibi Lam La Yang Takbi Tawa Tang Tokpa Tang Samalta Yang Tabi Tokpa Yang Tabi Nga Yang Tabi Lekita Yang Tabi Tsowa Yang Tabi Tsowa Yang Tabi Chemba Yang Tabi Tengin Pabi Lam Yang La Jeji Number Jedi She Songs.
Haribadra's claiming says, having thoroughly understood the seen truths, the path of meditation will arise. Therefore, with respect to the path of pure definite deliverance, the 8 aspects of the 8 branches of Arya's paths are correct view, correct thought, correct speech, correct aim of actions, correct livelihood, correct exertion, correct mindfulness, and correct concentration.
Dilaya Namatar Gules Sajigo Miyu Yolde Demba Shibote Team Bichers. The Chigwarda Demba Shibote Team Bichers.
Yandaba Tausia, the Yantapa de la Samala Jagarwep and a Yantapa Toba Yantapa Yantapa
Teacher.
And so then the meaning of the text says the subject, the paths of pure definite deliverance taught in this context are many, because there are 8, the branch of Arya's paths of correct view and so forth. Mikma loimbe. Migyu.
Loya. Being Harta Res Lara. Namata Res Lara.
And so then looking at the object of observation, it says there are objects of observation of the 8 branches of Arya's path, because the 4 Arya's truth are the objects of observation, which means it is just as before. This is because the Sanga's Compendium of Knowledge says, what are the objects of observation of the branches of Arya's path? Response following that, they are exactly the 4 Arya's truths.
Tadirta Miyudi Namada Chigbaris. Gomsuya Namada Chigbaris. Namada Chigbaris.
And so the objects of observation are as before. Now the mode of cultivation is also as before. As it says, there is a mode of cultivation of the 8 branches of Arya's path, because it is just as before for the branches of enlightenment.
Tadini Miyu Chigbayin, Gomsu Chigbayin, the Goba Carrier said Yungara, the Goba Carrier slide, Goba Mandavares. Ranghamati Tombom Pambik Cheturi. Tandadi Panamiala Gedi, Gombom Pambik Cheturis, Gombom Pambik Gobayores.
And so a question could arise. If the objects of observation are the same, and the mode of cultivation is the same, well, what's the purpose of the 8 branches of enlightenment? Sorry, what's the purpose of the 8-fold Arya's path? Well, the purpose says there is a purpose for the 8 branches of Arya's path, because they have the result of abandoning the objects of abandonment of the path of meditation, which means that previously when we looked at the 7 branches of enlightenment, we looked at that in relation to the path of seeing, and mainly for abandoning seeing abandonment. Here, the 8 branches of Arya's path, or the 8-fold Arya's path, is for abandoning meditation abandonment.
There's that Nyambulaya, and in Gombans in the carre, and Tombans in the carre, Kandrajanitini, Tongwe Pangre, and in Gombito Pango Grace, Radusama. The Nengar, that is Nenga Shura, the Yungores, the Diparaparale, Yungores.
And so the other subsidiary points that are important that can be discussed in relation to this section. Like, for example, what is the meaning of seeing abandonment? What are the things which are abandoned by the path of seeing? how they're abandoned by the path of sin. Then what are the things which are called meditation abandonments? How do they become things that are abandoned by the path of meditation? Lesson. So we will leave the text here for now. And let's look at education verses. Gewadi nyudo da lama sangye drugyune roa chikyama lupa di salang gobar sho janchu semcho
Ramboche maje pano gyurchi gewa nyamba meba yang gome gondu pewa
sho kanri rawe
Kwame shingamzu pendang dewa malun jungwe ne shenre siwan tenzin gyatso shape sinde bardu tengyu chi
tu tsu
chamjin jangun gyawe tenzin gyongbe we gongsu logo chosom kowe le mandru gyu pa da so du xing gun sha den shou